Well, hello guys, it's been a while since I posted. Old laptop broke, got a new one, and just haven't really posted much since then. I typically did a lot of reviews for WWE and stuff. I'm going to do not so much a review, but more an opinion piece on the current state of House of the Dragon, because I've just got done watching the latest episode, which was Series 3, Episode 6. Oh man, good god. It's a good show, for sure. It's not a bad show by any means. I think any show that delves into such rich history and well fleshed out world as the Song of Ice and Fire world is always going to be a better show than most. And I hate to be a book purist, but I am. And God, man, I just want to comment on what I think is being the downfall of the show right now, because I think the quality has really dipped. Adaptations. When it comes to adapting work, you have a creative leeway. You can make changes for the better. You can make changes for the worse. What the fuck are they doing, bro? Like, oh, the straw that really broke the camel's back in this episode was Rhaenyra sending Alicent to kill Aemond. One Eye. What the fuck? Uh, I loved Game of Thrones. I still think it's the best program ever made. Series 1 to 4. And then it just went off a cliff once they went past the source material. There's no suits here this time because all the source material is there. I watched Game of Thrones and I'd always read the A Song of Ice and Fire books, but I'd never read any of the other world stuff. And then many years ago, it was my ex actually put House of the Dragon on. I was like, "Do you want to watch this?" So, like, yeah, watched it. I was into it right away. I didn't know the story besides like random references in the A Song of Ice and Fire series to the Dance of Dragons. And after I watched the first season, which I still think is I'd say only good season to be honest, I went and I read Fire and Blood. I read World of Ice and Fire. I got more knowledgeable about the past of Westeros rather than the Song of Ice and Fire books focus on the 300 AC timeline ish. This is set 170, 180 years before. So after series 1, I became very familiar with the whole story, and I don't care for spoilers. I've always been someone, if I see a story, I just kind of want to know what happens. So I read the source material, and adaptations of it. Like I said, there's some creative leeway, but some of the changes, man, is just I don't understand it. So I'm gonna have a bit of a rant about why I think this show is aired. Maybe one day I'll talk about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms as well. I think that's been good series so far. I kind of like the format; it's a lot more whimsical, but this one's a lot more serious. The longer episodes, so they have more to show. But still, I just find myself thinking what might have been a lot of this show. It's still enjoyable to a degree, but there are also long stretches of just boredom. People may say, "Oh, because you're watching a show that you know what's going to happen. You know everyone's going to die." Blah blah. That doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. You can still get intrigued. When I was watching Thrones, I knew a lot of what would happen with some character arcs, but I was still interested. The problem with the show is, I mean, there are many. There are a lot of positives as well, which we'll talk about. But the dragons are heavily involved, of course, and they cut a huge amount of the CGI budget, just the budget in general. I just got to pop up and turn that off. So and obviously mostly it focuses on Targaryens, Velaryons, the Hightower branch, the Greens and the Blacks. Game of Thrones was all over the place in a good way. You had scenes at the Wall, you had storylines invested there, you had storylines invested in Winterfell, in Braavos when Arya goes over, across the Narrow Sea with Daenerys, first in the Dothraki Sea, then in Karth, then in Slaver's Bay. Via Stothrak. You had a lot of moving parts. This one, it's just almost all King's Landing. And I don't think there's enough characters that are just well written or interesting enough to sustain it always. I'm never too bored watching it, but it doesn't hook me as much as Game of Thrones did. Uh, yeah, there are problems in it. This latest episode, I guess we'll touch upon that, which is the one that's infuriated me enough to make a video. Just kind of lambasting the portrayal of this. One problem they have, in my opinion, and TV shows do this too much, is they're scared to keep characters in a background position because of the actor's popularity or their worth in the series. Olivia Cooke plays Alison Hightower. She played it very well, as did Emily Carey, I think. Alison's been a good character throughout the series, one of the most popular, one of the most well-known ones. But in the story, and I should say, spoiler alert, of course, for all of this. If you don't know where the story's going, I know the entire thing, I'm going to spoil it. After Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, she kind of disappears into the background. One major problem, in my opinion, is that they tried desperately to make us sympathise with Rhaenyra more, with Alicent more. They are the two major ones here, and it's getting nauseating. It's getting to a point where I'm like, did you not even read the story? This is not what happens, bro. What the fuck are they doing? Any portrayal, any burial of characters in the opposite way, I hate as well. In things like in the Harry Potter films with Ron, where they took all of his major good lines, basically gave them to Hermione because the fucking directors wanted to focus on Emma Watson. She was like the second major face of the whole series, probably behind Dan Radcliffe. They're doing the opposite, really. They're kind of doing similar here. They want a girl boss Rhaenyra, done to girl boss Rhaenys in the first series. There's another egregious example of bullshit here. I said I think the first series was the best in general, but even then there was parts I'm watching. I'm like, what the fuck? This makes no sense. What the fuck is that? Like I said, I watched the first series, having not read the source material, and then I went back and read the source material, and I was baffled at some of the things they did. One of the producers or execs or something, I read this one, so I don't actually know this for sure, to be fair, so I'm just repeating what I read online. So it could be spurious, but someone said one of the major players in creating the show was a woman, and basically came out and said, we just created that scene after Aegon's coronation, which I think overall is a really great scene, where Rhaenys comes through the boards, the beast from beneath the boards, as Helene said, with Meleys. They created that just for a girl boss moment, basically. Why? I hate doing that. People involved in the story just have certain whims, and they have to get them on screen. I like fleshing out characters beyond the story, but when you're deviating that much from the character, it makes no sense. The Meleys thing in the end, cool scene, but it backfired big time, because one of the major plot points they did the next season was after the Battle of Rook's Rest, and Meleys's head has been ripped off by Vhagar. They brought it back to King's Landing, displayed it on screen, and all the fucking small folk were like, "Oh no, that's a bad omen." That it was used as a plot device to backfire on the Greens, specifically Chris and Cole, because he thought, we're going to parade this round like the spoils of war. Look at our strength. And all the small folk were seeing a bad omen in it. Why would they think that? Because Rhaenys and Meleys came through the fucking boards and killed hundreds of people. There's no way hundreds of people would not have been dead. They would have been that would have been the most vilified dragon alive, Meleys. After that. Never happened in the books, this. Aegon has his coronation. He gets crowned. Helaena gets crowned. Poor Helaena in the series doesn't even get crowned. Alicent in the story takes her crown off and places it on Helaena. And then they fly around. Aegon does a few laps of King's Landing above the sky on Sunfire. It makes no sense. The big aim, Liv Cook is probably one of the best paid actors on this show. They'd be contracted to it, and they just want to put it to use more, which I don't mind having scenes of her and Rhaenyra talking about, they were former friends, stuff like that, or Alicent talking with Helena, but at the end of the day, they were just imprisoned after Rhaenyra takes charge, and Alicent doesn't really do much else. Now they have her doing more stuff, fair enough, but it's at what end? What fucking end? Why would Rhaenyra send Alicent, of all people, to kill Aemond? Aemond One, probably the fiercest warrior in the realm, besides Daemon. It just makes no fucking sense, bro. It's just fucking stupidity. I was watching it and I could not believe what I was watching. I was like, are you fucking for real? I don't think they've done as good a job at all. So many times, same in season 2, Rhaenyra showing this restraint. Rhaenyra is not all black villain. The irony ain't black there. She's part of the blacks, but she's not this black villain. But she's way more tyrannical in the source material, the books. And I think they've not done that well at all. They've not portrayed that well at all in their rule of King's Landing. There was no levied extra tax. It was kind of, they had to soften it somehow. Of the lords let the small folks suffer, so she's fed them wrath, and she's trying to kind of tax them. No, she taxed the small folk in the source material. Alicent, I think they're trying to. Alicent stayed in the source material, kind of firmly Team Green the whole way, and I feel like they thought, oh no, we've got to give her some kind of empathy and sympathy, and some caveat to her behaviour in aiding the usurping of the throne. I think the way they're going about it has made it look way worse, in my opinion. It makes no sense. Oh, so now she's kind of got cold feet. She just wants to save herself and Helena. But Helena called her out in this episode. Helena's one of the few bright spots, I think, of this, where it was the source material doesn't give you much. She just kind of descends into madness after the blood and cheese incident. But they fleshed her out a lot more, and I like that. I like that they've done it. They turned her into a dreamer. Alicent has gotten to the stage where she... This made no sense. This pissed me off. It was her suggestion to Rhaenyra, we'll open the gates. I'll get rid of Aegon and Aemond. I'll get rid of Aemond. I'll send him on some fucking bullshit missions at Harrenhal, whatever the hell. Get him and Vhagar gone. And then she's like, oh, I'll open the gates, basically. You can come in. Helena will have the authority then. She'll order the gates to be opened. You can just stroll on in King's Landing. That's not what happened in the fucking source material. Daemon draws Aemond and Vhagar to the Riverlands, and then they just take the sea. Aegon, of course, had already previously escaped, as in the source material, helped by Lara Strong. But that's not Alicent, man. Why would she just sell them out after all the work she did usurping them? Well, just because Aegon got rid of Otto as Hand King? Or because Aemond threw her off the council when he became Prince Regent? And now she's been sent on a suicide mission, basically. I mean, it's never gonna work, obviously. But bro, at this stage, I don't even fucking know this series. Surely they couldn't fuck up the battle above the God's Eye. I mean, I don't think they will. Even in the show, Helena says to Aemond, you're swallowed in the God's Eye. You sink and you're beneath and you're never to be seen again. Which is not true, the source material, actually. You do find him years later strapped. His skeleton's still strapped to Vhagar with Dark Sister in his eye. But what are they doing at times? Corlys... was it Lord Roxton? I think. I can't even remember that. Right at the end. This never happened. He just teleports across Westeros. He's suddenly on, I guess Corlys is on Driftmark at the moment. And then he fucking captures him. What? What is this bullshit? In the books, Nettles exist. They've merged Rhaenys and Nettles' character, which... not Rhaenys. Rhaena and Nettles' character, which... I'm not entirely against... I don't think it was particularly necessary, but it still kind of works. Nettles in the end, that's what drives the wedge between Daemon and Rhaenyra to the stage where Daemon's just Serves his own interest, really. He goes off, he challenges Aemon to come to Harrenhal, and then they have the battle where everyone dies. Caraxes, Aemond, and Vhagar. Nettles was rumoured to be Daemon's lover. Instead, they've just substituted that with Rhaena, who's his daughter. So that'll be the difference in the end. Rhaenyra is calling for Rhaena's head. Daemon takes offence to that, obviously doesn't agree, and just they fracture. They've already kind of covered that. Daemon has just murdered some innocent farmer. Caraxes burned him beyond facial recognition, basically, and then plopped his head down on the small council table and said, "Oh, this is the guy who rode Cheap Stealer." The changes like that are minute. You can get around, but there's just so many of them that it's become a jumbled mess, and it is not the story that should be told. I don't think it's like beyond not being reasonable to request accuracy as much as you can get. But even when you get that, they still manage to fuck it up. And that leaves me with no faith in people who are adapting the source material. Best example from this latest episode is this opening scene, Butcher's Ball. The start's okay. The Rivermen are playing dead, which is kind of weird, but whatever. And then they have a little skirmish with Colnor's men. Colnor's men prevail, but cut down a lot. And then the Rivermen come from either side of the field, and Colnor's cornered. The quote, the most important fucking quote, and the whole thing was taken out. I have no words. Like, why? Ryan Condal, what the fuck are you doing, bro? The Winter Wolves corner him. This time they had the lads with him. Well, I don't even think Benjicot's in the fucking series. I guess Benjicot and Kermit have just all been merged into Oscar Tully, who's a great character in the series. I think he's done really well. I like the actor as well. But Cole does, in the source material, demand to be, alright, I'll fight anyone in your army. I want to go out like dignified, like a knight, befitting of his Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. He wants to go out with honour, taking on someone in like direct combat. He offers to fight 1v2 in this one. I mean, it's an old man and a teenager, granted, in the show, but whatever. And they deny him that, but the quote was, you've usurped the throne, you've done this, you've done that, you don't deserve the honour, basically. They won't sing songs. There'll be no songs sung about your heroic deeds. And he dies a pathetic death. Or, I wouldn't say pathetic. Less than honourable death, less than dignified death in the source material, because that is what he deserved. He wasn't an honourable man. He created a lot of bad. He was both good and bad, really, in parts, Cole, but he did more bad. He was the kingmaker. He placed the crown upon Aegon. He, in the show, sent Eric to slay Eric, which is basically a suicide mission. He does that out of guilt or shame for his part in not preventing Blood and Cheese incident, the beheading of Jaehaerys. So from that sense, it fit. In the end, it was changed. I don't think, does it ever specifically say in the source material Black Aly is the one who fires arrows into him? I didn't mind that being added to the show. I guess Black Aly, Alysanne Blackwood's a really good character in the series, one of my favourite ones, and is not really in the series much. Which happens, any like war commanders, they're not really needed so much. Any major people in theatres of war. You saw that in Game of Thrones. You barely saw Umber or Glover or people like that, unless they were like real characters that had a bit more scenes around them. Example being the Blackfish, for example. around Rob Stark's camp. Blackfish and Roose Bolton were probably the ones shown most, and Edmure Tully. And that made sense. So I don't mind Black Ali getting a more notable, memorable moment here, but not including the line is kind of the key. That line is the key thing. They want to deny him the honor or the dignity of kind of going down and slaying him in one by one combat. Having like a trial of combat, and they took that out. So in the end, his death felt like. I've seen some people divided about it online already who don't know the source material, and that says a lot. It proves that it didn't land, because some people, Cole is actually hated a lot in this fandom, more than I would say he deserves. Even I'm saying, he wasn't an honourable man, he wasn't a good man. A lot of people treat him like he's the worst character in the show in terms of just morals and stuff. Meanwhile, you have Damon, who's far worse, in my opinion, as a man, and everyone loves him. But yeah, Damon is great. The whole line not being in just changes everything. A lot of people feeling underwhelmed with the series. It's kind of a pathetic death. It was a bit sudden. It was a bit, he was trying to talk to them, trying to negotiate with them, and he just gets fucking shot. Bam, bam, bam. 3 arrows. Made no sense. The whole Darren story. Darren showed a bit more this time when he was talking to Gwaine, who I think's been a revelation in the show. I like Gwaine a lot. He's been given a bigger role in the show. I think the actor's done well, and I like that change. Ormond has also been given a bigger role, but Ormond, I think, is getting buried a bit. I guess they're changing his character a bit, but he's far more honourable, and he's just a good commander in the source material. Daron has just been a puppet largely. Where's Daron the Daring Man? What was his nickname? Is this motherfucker gonna show up and do something soon? Is he still a puppet? Like I said, when he talked to Gwaine, he's playing deferential to Ormond because he's a bit controlled by him, a bit afraid of him, a bit wary of him even. He's aware he's a puppet, but still, Daron the Daring, have you woken yet? It's time soon, because Tumbleton's coming soon. Seems to me in the show they're going to merge both Tumbleton battles. I don't know about that either. I think you should have kept it separately. The betrayal of Ulf and Hugh, they only just started building to that now. There were some seeds, some roots, and some... Pardon the pun, I didn't even think of that. There were some seeds to it, dragon seeds, prior. Especially with Ulf. But they've only really started, flowering them now, or, watering them now. And the shit's got to happen in the next episode or two. It will be this season. There's still there was a source, a screenshot taken from one of trailers or something where it's Alan leading a funeral procession. You see the coffin behind him. I mean, after he'd been arrested, maybe Corlys it could happen to, but I doubt it. There's almost certainly going to be Adam of Hull. So they're going to merge the two battles. I don't think there's enough episode time to have the first one where Ulf and that betray, and then do the story where... I mean, I don't get it. Why would you cut that out? It's like a major part of the whole fucking story. I was talking about it before, and I went off track because I started talking about Rhaena, but that's what it ties to. Ulf, in the source material, Ulf and Hugh switch sides. They burn Tumbleton, they join the Greens, and Rhaenyra then begins to doubt all the dragon seeds, the bastards. She was like, oh, baseborn, people are telling her, we told you baseborn bastards couldn't be trusted. So she also mistrusts Nettles and Adam of Hull. She orders their arrest, and Corlys gets wind of it as their hand, and warns Adam, who flees, and then she imprisons Corlys. Well, that's obviously not going to happen now, because but then the second Battle of Tumbleton happens, and Adam flies off on sea smoke and proves his loyalty. He dies in the attempt, but he proves his loyalty. Already by that point, Hugh and Ulf have been killed by the Greens, who didn't trust them for being betrayers. But still, Vermithor's Silverwing's All the dragons collide, they battle each other, and Adam dies a hero. And years later, his bones are recovered and buried by Alan, who just leaves one word on his epitaph: loyal, on his tombstone: loyal. Why have they rushed through this? But in the meantime, they're just showing a load of other shit. Is it CGI limitations? Maybe. It's same with the Liv Cook thing. They have hair there, and she's a big part, so they're just trying to draw more scenes out of her to get the value. She's one of the more well-known actors on the series. When it's changed for the sake of TV production, it's unavoidable, I guess. But some changes like this, I just don't think there's a reason for it. I don't know, man. Maybe the bullet was just a bullet. Maybe the budget was just stretched thin. I guess we have already had the Battle of the Gullet this season. There was a bit of a battle scene this latest episode, the start, with Cole's men being ambushed by the Rivermen. And then there's all the other dragon shit. I don't know, man. To be fair, there's been much dragon stuff this season. I didn't think so. Not since Sheepstealer. It's been limited. Yeah, I just think this series it's in danger of really meandering off. There's a lot of decision making where I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like, where are they going from here? Smaller changes as well, I just didn't really care for. Yeah, call me a book purist, a book nerd. You're probably right. But even little things like Alice and Aemond at Harrenhal. Alice reveals the chest that was R.I.P. Alyssa Farman, I guess. I guess she just never existed. Oh, this was Dreamfire's clutch of eggs that Rhaena brought here, which Alyssa ends up taking to Braavos. And the theory was that they're the eggs that end up being with Daenerys. I think they changed it in the series way before then anyway, because when Rhaena and Joffrey and Aegon and Viserys were being sent to the Vale, they had a chest with clutch of eggs, and they looked like the ones that Daenerys ends up getting, just 3 instead of 4. I do like that they at least showed that, the possible origins of Drogon, Rhaegar, and Viserion. Some changes, man. I don't get it. I don't understand. And it's just bad. It's just bad writing. Why was Corlys arrested? What the fuck are they gonna do with him? They're just getting rid of him. Why was Otto Hightower hidden away by Lara Strong in series 2? It made no fucking sense. It would have been cooler if, Rhaenyra just takes King's Landing and just fucking takes him, just sees him. Why are they trying to babyface Alicent so much, but in the process just making her look worse? Same with Rhaenyra in a lot of places. They make her way softer. Even Aegon, they make her way softer. The whole point of the story is that very quickly into it, you realise neither of them should rule, really. They're all awful people. None of them should be a ruler. Rhaenyra basically becomes a tyrant. She went from the Realms of Light to Maegor Atit. That's what the small folk ended up calling her years later. Aegon, the changes they made to his character in this show series, I have enjoyed. I think Tom Gunn-Carney's done great work with him. He was probably my favourite character in all of season 2, honestly. Aegon. Which surprised me, because I much preferred Aemond before. I still love Aemond's portrayal as well. I thought Ewan Mitchell's done great. They fleshed him out a bit more. But even then, with Aemond, there's some decisions they do, and it just baffles me, bro. Book Aemond would never have just burnt Aegon purposely. They were actually kind of close, they work well. Sure, Aegon in the source material did treat Aemond like shit growing up as well, but Aemond was loyal to his cause and his family. He wasn't really self-interested. Besides when it came to taking out Daemon, I guess I think that was he just saw it as worth it, I suppose. He just goes for it. Yeah, I'm still going to continue watching. I'm going to watch the series out. It's going to be 4 series in total, I think. We are near and close to the end. There's maybe only 10 episodes left in the whole thing. It was 10 episodes in series 1, but it's been 8 in the following series. So we have 2 left this series, and then maybe another 8 in the final series. Maybe they'll do 10 series season 4. We'll see. But it looks likely it's probably going to end this season with Tumbleton, which is going to merge together. And a little surprised me at the start of the series. I thought maybe they'd have got through at enough pace that by the end of the series we have the Battle of the God's Eye. But I can understand why they want to keep, Daemon and Aemond are 2 major characters in this whole story. 2 of the best characters, probably the 2 best warriors in it. 2 of my favourite characters for sure. I can see why they wanted to keep that all the way to series 4. It keeps them in the marketing for series 4, keeps them doing the press releases. They're 2 recognisable characters. Then we're going to have the Storm of the Dragon Pit, etc. Aegon's Ascension, etc. But I'm just looking at them thinking a lot of the time, because of the slow pace, damn man, it's a lot they've got to squeeze in to series 4. They've got to get a fucking move on. Something fucking changes as well. Like Boris Baratheon. Bro, the Vulture King they said he was dealing with, it doesn't exist yet. Does he not? Am I misremembering here? I've read the source materials, the books a lot. Was it not the Vulture King was originally arose around the time of, was it Daeron the First or Aegon the Unworthy? Around that time, when they're going back for the Conquest of Dawn. But now suddenly he's been brought forward 40 years in the fucking universe as a convenient excuse for Boris Baratheon to not be helping. And he's not helped the Greens or battle or war, and now he's not going up to bend the knee to Rhaenyra. In the source material, it's just purely because Boros, you could call him pragmatic, you could call him cowardly. There's shades of Walder Frey and or Tywin Lannister in the Robert's Rebellion about him. He sits back. He's afraid of meeting the dragons in battle. Both smart and cowardly, lacking in honour, I guess. But he only really emerges once Aegon reclaims his throne from Dragonstone. That's another thing. I mean, they seem to keep implying in the show that Sunfire is straight up dead. What the fuck? Where are they going? And then I'm thinking that they can't fuck this up. They have to have Rhaenyra killed by Sunfire. They've already done this scene in fucking Game of Thrones where Joff is showing Marjorie around the keep, and he points down and he says, Rhaenyra Targaryen was fed to their brother's dragon. So that has to stay in. There's a lot of scenes they've got to get through, man. I mean, Sunfire has to battle with Moondancer as well. Aegon has to take Dragonstone. Maybe there will be more. Maybe Battle of Tumbleton will be next episode. But I feel like the problem with the series a lot of the time is I keep thinking, next episode will be when blah blah happens. It just doesn't. There's just other bullshit that didn't need to happen. Other scenes that don't need to happen. That just leave me scratching my head. Most of the time at the end of it. Season 1 was the best one, for sure. Paddy Considine, how he didn't win an Emmy for that, I do not know. He was fucking great. I loved every change they made about Viserys. They fleshed him out a lot. They made him a lot different. They had this, speaking of flesh, this flesh-eating disease. He was like a leper or something that slowly took him. You saw him degrade physically, but I think it just added to his character. There's just been a lot of unnecessary changes elsewhere. Talked about the good ones, like I said, I think Viserys, Helena especially, those two I think were fleshed out to a degree that I think was added to their characters. They weren't really that focal in the source material. They were just kind of pawns moved about by other people. They still have been, but we got a lot more sympathy with them. But so many other characters, bro. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me know what your thoughts are on this show. I mean, I'm still going to keep watching through it. I just think it could have been so much more. It really could. Maybe they'll tie things up. It's not over till it's over, I guess. I'm just losing a lot of faith with some of the changes they did make. Like I said, with some of the adaptations where you just cannot fuck this up. So many major quotes, so many of the famous quotes are just left out. That one today with Kristen Cole. We won't have them singing Your Honour, they specify, we'll deny you. The way they presented it, Ali shoots him, and then Oscar Tully and the guy, the Winter Wolf next, I guess it's Roderick, next to him, kind of both looked a little, oh shit, as if Black Ali's her own agent. She just said, fuck this, I'm gonna shoot him. What? Major characters sake of budget happens. I'm a little disappointed Benchcott isn't in it. And, Nettles. A lot of other characters. If they're going to change stuff and add random shit and remove other shit, could we not have got the cannibal at least? The most badass of all the dragons. The one even the Targaryens are afraid to go towards. I'd like to see a cannibal cameo if we're going to change stuff. Everything's changing, man. Thailand ends up getting tortured by Rhaenyra's torturers when she takes the throne, and he never does end up revealing where he sent the money, which is Braavos at the Iron Bank, for the record. But that leads to Rhaenyra not having the funds to run King's Landing, and is one of the major reasons she ends up running away. She gets deposed. She loses her grip on the city. The storming of the Dragon Pit happens, and then she's out of there. They've changed the story to have him with Aegon and Larys. I don't know why. It's another one. I'm like, the actual source material story is better, I think. I think it paints Thailand in a very different way, which is beneficial to his character. I mean, he's still remembered in the histories as more bad character than good because of the shit he did, especially trying to urge Aegon second to kill Aegon the third. But they take his ears, they take his fingernails, they just beat him beyond recognition to the point where women like faint at the sight of him. He ends up putting his hood up when he's hand to the king later on in the story, and he's always behind the hood. They call him like the shadowy hood, or the Hooded Hand, I think was his nickname. Something like that. It just, the only explanation I have is that it is the director's whims, or certain producers' whims, or we have to get this cast, this person involved more because they're a really good actor, like Olivia Cook's character. What? Why are so many of these living beyond? Some other changes that yet to bear fruition. I don't get. Will we ever see Laenor again? Why did he survive? Oh, I'll tell you why he survived. Because we can't have people thinking worse of Rhaenyra. They're so desperate to have everyone on Team Black. Generally speaking, with the whole story, I am more Team Black than Team Green. Viserys made her his heir. They shouldn't have usurped it. I am more Team Black. But Rhaenyra was not a good character by then. She made a lot of mistakes. She was kind of savage. She was fire and blood. Team Green were also awful in a lot of ways. But they're just babyfacing both sides so much to the extent I'm like, oh, are they trying to get spot both? Doesn't make much sense. I think the next time it's gonna be a major like flashpoint with the changes they made that's gonna like potentially fuck with things is Corlys. If you take him out of King's Landing, that completely removes any tension or like incentivization for there to be, a discord between Rhaenyra and Adam. So Adam's going to protect the city on a whim, kind of thing. I think it adds to it more if Corlys defends Adam for what's to come later on for Corlys. Corlys ends up being a hand to, or an advisor to Aegon II, and ends up poisoning him. Basically, they try and control him. They try and get him to sue peace. He tries, but Aegon's so steadfast in no, I will not pardon the remaining blacks. Fuck them. That they end up, not just Corlys, but some other conspirators end up removing him. These little changes are just hurting the characters, and I think more things they do later on will make less sense. I don't know, man. All for the sake of what? Just a lesser budget? How many characters have they done full justice to? Genuinely. Almost every one of them, there are certain aspects, or at least one or two aspects, where I'm like, that scene was really bad. That is not the character. I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know who I'm watching. These are not the characters from the material. It's happening more and more often now, though. And yeah, there are some changes that I just find indefensible. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the series goes. I'll still watch it through to the end. But it's mainly... I can see why a lot of people wouldn't watch it if they don't know the source material. It's mainly because I just love the source story. How it was the beginning and the end, really, of the Targaryen downfall. It still took about another 160 years. But within about 23 years, I think it is, by the story's end, all the dragons had died out. And with it, that's the main mythos, the main power, the main strength of House Targaryen. The dance ends up with the death of about a dozen major characters and basically all the dragons except 4, I think. Was it Sheepstealer? Does Morgul die? I think Morgul does. Sheepstealer, the cannibal, Silverwing. No, Silverwing dies. Wait, does Silverwing die? I don't remember the others, but there's so much that happens. I could see why this was the first spin-off they made. You may have thought, oh, maybe they do Aegon's Conquest. They'll do that eventually. Apparently, actually, they're making a film about this, which I'm in two minds about. It's obviously going to be cool to watch, but you could have easily got a fucking TV series out of that whole entire reign. In the end, they'll end up doing a TV series about basically every fucking major era. I feel like you could do one on the Age of Heroes even as well. You could eventually, maybe in like 80, 100 years, but way down the line, they probably end up running out of so much source material that they end up doing one on like Essos. You could still fill a lot of that with stuff of world building. But the Dance of Dragons is such a cool story and well fleshed out with a lot of intriguing characters that I can understand and see for sure why that was the first spin-off. That was like the priority one, or the one they thought, oh, this will be like the easiest home run. Well, so far, man, I'm only really keeping watching because I know there is still a lot of cool stuff to come, and I know the potential that it can have. But I feel like sometimes I'm watching out of a sense of duty, and it's a shame because I praise a lot of stuff about it. I think the music's great, the acting is great, the cinematography is great, the costume design, everyone involved in the production, I applaud. It's nowhere near as bad as Game of Thrones last couple of series, especially the 8th series. at this stage, but it's way off the 1 to 4. I rank it more on par with like Game of Thrones 2 through 6. If it gets better than 5, way better than 7, 8, but way off 1 to 4. And that it's a shame, man, because I think it had the potential to be as good as 1 to 4. They had the whole story, they had the whole adaptation in front of them, and the years to follow as well, so they could lay seeds for stuff. Like, as Black Ali even met, to be fair, in the source material, I don't think she's met Craig and Stark yet, but you know, little things like that they can do in the future. I'll be interested to see if they do. I guess it's unavoidable if they want to do the Corlys gets pardoned story with Black Ali and Craig and Stark, but who fucking knows, man? They're just cutting random bits on whims here or there. That not everyone's going to have the same vision that you have. Everyone will have their own different interpretation of what should happen and where. But I do think I'm in the majority of book readers right now in terms of a lot of scenes we're seeing. It is like, wow, why did they do it like that? Or why did they cut this out? Why did they change that? Whatever. And when you have so many people saying that, they need to listen, man. These people adapting it. But anyway, let me know what you thought. I'm going to watch next week's episode. I don't think I'll make a consistent base of this. I was just that pissed off enough that I kind of like summarised all my gripes of the series on a whim. Ironically. And we'll see what the future entails. Maybe in future on this channel I'll do more like individual episode reviews for things, but I doubt it. It's been a while since I posted. I'm kind of done with... I'm still watching wrestling right now, but I'm just not incentivized to review anything because the product is quite frankly god awful. Been awful year for it. So yeah, I don't know when I'll be back, if I will be back, but let's hope for better from House of the Dragon in the future.